The hosts and guests on Everything's Messy podcast are not licensed healthcare professionals. The discussions in our episodes are not personalized medical advice. Always consult a qualified healthcare provider for medical guidance. Never delay seeking professional medical advice or emergency assistance because of our podcast. We encourage consulting with a healthcare professional before making any significant health changes. By listening to our podcast, you agree to the disclaimer. Thank you for listening to Everything's Messy podcast. Hey, welcome to Everything's Messy podcast, where we celebrate the beautiful but messy life experiences that most, if not all, people go through. Get ready to embark on an exciting journey through the raw and unfiltered stories of everyday people. Here, we dive into messy realities of life, from making messy mistakes to triumphs and everything in between. Are you sensing a theme? That's right, it's messy. But this just isn't about the mess. It's about finding strength and resilience in the midst of it all. We'll explore how health, fitness, and wellness play a crucial role in navigating life's twists and very messy turns. And we'll challenge conventional systems, because sometimes the most unconventional paths lead to the greatest discoveries. Join us as we embrace the messy, beautiful, and endlessly fascinating stories. Each episode is a testament to the power of our messy journeys and the beauty that emerges from the mess. So grab your favorite beverage, coffee, sparkling water, whatever it may be, and prepare to be inspired. Are you ready? Let's get messy. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Everything's Messy podcast. I am your messy host, Sarah. Today I have Heather Stewart. She is a transformation facilitator, fellow podcast host of what was Back to Me, where I had the privilege of being a guest on her show, to now she's jumped and she's made it big time. I'm just hearing about all the stuff she's doing. Illuminate Your Worth, which I love. That's just a great overall. I love that title. That's just wonderful. And she's also the creator of Thriving Life Harmony. And I think I'm just going to jump in. I want to get to a little bit about your messy story, but I just kind of want to have you talk about harmony over balance, right?
Yes.
We were talking about before I hit record, there's a lot of people that think they can somehow achieve not only a stress-free life, which I think is just crazy, but they can achieve this sort of what seems to be a buzzword lately is this work-life balance, which is just non-existent.
It's so funny. And I'll fully admit that I tried for years and years and years thinking that I was a failure because I couldn't achieve work-life balance. Like I would have my plan. Okay, I got it. And then, of course, something throws it off.
Sure.
And if you look in the bookstore, how many books achieve work-life balance? This is your secret formula. I'm like, none of these work. Or
You've tried them all.
Yeah, it's like a diet. It'll work for a little while and then it'll stop working.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So
Plateau.
right. And the thing is, the way I think about it is balance is like this static point where if you think of a house of cards, nobody move, nobody breathe because it'll fall over. Right. So, and the times that I'm like, okay, I've totally achieved balance. Well, as soon as something changes, it throws the balance off. So you're like, oh, I failed again.
Yeah.
So you can't like balance. For me, I use harmony instead because life, it's going to keep changing. So harmony is, oh, this is happening now. Okay, I'm going to shift that. It's like we were just talking seasons just before we came on. Oh, we're shifting into the summer season.
Sure.
I mean, we got to weed the garden now instead of shovel the driveway. Like you keep shifting. You keep shifting. So what's happening and not letting any of them feel like you want life to stop happening. So that's that like stress-free life thing. Humans can't operate without stress. And we've given stress this bad word, but if you lift weights, that's a stress on your body to allow your body to grow. If I heard this once, and I can't remember where I heard it, or even if it's true, it's probably true. Trees in outer space are weak because there's no wind, there's nothing to challenge them to make them stronger. And someone told me that indoor plants were the same. Like if you grow a tree indoors, it's not as strong as the same tree outdoors because it hasn't had any challenges to.
Sure. It hasn't had to become stronger.
Right. So humans, and it's interesting because I was just listening to Carolyn Mays she talks about soul contracts and archetypes. And she was talking about the caregiver archetype. And one of their challenges is like stopping themselves from caring for someone in a way that's going to hurt them. And she said,
Mm.
and the way she used it is, you can't save someone if they need to develop resilience. So you can't run in and keep saving them because you are weakening them.
Yeah.
I know that's totally off topic.
No. It all goes hand in hand. And it's sort of becoming sort of the master of your ebb and flow, right? Because
Yes,
everybody's going to have different challenges. Everybody's going to have different stressors. And what might stress out some may not do that for the other, or it may be worse, right? So it's really the master of whatever those challenges bring to you and how you deal with those, right? And I think that's the key.
And if you're honest with yourself and you take the time, you know the things that really drive you crazy.
Sure. You know your triggers, for sure.
You know them. So then if you know what they are and you know what's going to set you off, if you want to stay somewhat harmonious, like there's going to be ups and downs and ups and downs and ups and downs, but they don't have to knock you so far off. When you see it coming, you're like, oh, like I am a recovering control freak.
Me too.
Recovering.
Still in the stages of it.
Always in recovery.
Yes.
But it's like when I feel the need to control something, now I have this presence of mind where I pause and go, is this really my circus? You know?
That's like that meme. Is this really my circus? These aren't my monkeys. Why am I going to get upset?
Right. So now, like something will start, I can feel this like coming inside of me. And I'm like, I can feel this need to just charge in and take over. And I'm like, okay. And I have a momentary pause. I go, this really isn't my problem. I've started practicing that.
To get to that level, that's amazing. I'm still more in the brace for impact mode.
Okay.
Where I'm trying to kind of go down that checklist of like, okay, wait, nope, oh, wait, okay, it's too late. So that's kind of where I am. I'm getting better.
I think part of it comes with, now, this isn't to say that people have to be old, but it's like experience of how far stuff can go sideways if you try to do everything. And my husband they were celebrating our 20th anniversary this year.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Such a great year.
We were about 10 years in, and he said, one of our agreements was we would be very honest and upfront with each other about our bull, and the other person wouldn't take it personally. So one day he said to me, you know what you do? He said, you go up and up and up and up and up and up, and I can see the crash coming. So I just stand with my hands out waiting.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh, that's good to know, because I didn't recognize I was doing that. So with that knowledge, I started going, am I climbing? I would say,
right. Yeah.
I could start to recognize myself. So having someone reflect that stuff back to you.
That's amazing. Yeah. Having a partner that's able to point that out in a loving way.
Right.
That's such a great thing.
And you have to give each other permission, right?
Definitely.
From the beginning, that was our permission slip, 100%.
Yeah. And it'd be receptive to it, right?
Yeah.
And that's...
Well, we always check, like, can I say something? Is it okay if I say it right now, or should I wait?
Let's check that temperature.
Right, exactly.
Well, and I know for me, I started to, we talk about, we know what sort of sets us off, those triggers that are coming. But I've also started to kind of gather, I call them triggers. I guess there's probably a better word, but those things that I can put in place to keep me from that climb, or to keep me from going on this journey that I'm, is going to have a dead end or not get me anywhere.
It's like it's like those little, those alarm sensors in buildings, like someone just crossed the threshold.
Right. Exactly.
Wait, alarm's going off.
So do I need to do some breathing technique right now? Is there, do I need to go take a moment to myself and sort of just gather those kind of triggers first before I'm going to jump, which has helped me sometimes. Sometimes I'm only human and I've jumped and there's no looking back and it's over. But
I'm not saying I never crash anymore, but like, let's be honest, because life is messy. It's just a thing. It's just a thing.
Yep. Right. So, by the way, I love everything that you're saying, but why don't you kind of back up a little bit and sort of take us into that messy part that sort of brought you to where you are? I know everybody has a messy story, I know. But there's also that second piece that I love asking fellow podcasters, because a lot of people weather the storm and they come out and they've learned a bunch. And then there's those that take it just a little bit farther and be like, okay, now I've got stuff to tell people.
Right. And it's interesting. I guess not everybody who comes through feels like, sometimes when people come through, they feel like they're the only person who's ever experienced that in their whole life.
Right.
And I'm like, when I come through, I'm like, holy crap, you guys. Let me tell you what happened.
Me too.
Let's hope this doesn't happen to you.
That, and I want to share what I've learned. If you haven't tried this, well, you need to try, or you need to do this, because because I needed something like that. I needed somebody to be like, hey, I got you. You're not alone. And try this part. This doesn't work. Try that part. And it's like just sharing that information. I feel we all want to be connected in some way.
Right.
And hearing that we aren't alone, that's pretty valuable.
Yeah, I remember. I'll tell I don't know which messy part you want me to tell. You want me to start at the very beginning of the mess?
The meat that just took you by surprise when you realize that you're in that mess and just sitting in that mess.
Yeah. So that's when I was a CPA. Right. So I was a corporate finance executive. Can you imagine? I can't even imagine it now that was my life day in and day out. And I worked very hard to get that designation, went to university, worked as an articling student, did all the exams. Now I've made it. I am successful. I have a career. Gosh darn it.
On top of had to like math, let's just pause for that for a moment.
All you gotta need to know how to do is add and subtract. Occasionally you have to do percentages. Right.
Well, I didn't like math until, I'll be honest, I hated it until I actually went to college and actually started to understand and learn it. But before that, forget it. Forget it.
Yeah. I was like, it was funny because when things come naturally to you, you're just like, oh, whatever. It doesn't occur to you that it's not something that everybody knows how to do. And I see that more and more. It's like, wow, that person is really good at this. And they don't see it. They just oh, isn't everybody good at that? Come on.
Right. Exactly.
No, they're not. So yeah, and a couple of things happened when I was an accountant. So I would get really bored. And what I realized looking back is the work was boring. Boring. I enjoyed the people. I enjoyed the camaraderie. I enjoyed my staff because they were just fun to hang out with. I enjoyed my bosses. And, even the mailroom guy would come into my office and sit down and shoot the breeze for 15, 20 minutes when he was bringing me my mail. One of the VPs came by one day. He goes, I feel like this office is HR, not accounting. And well, I just like talking to people, whatever.
It's that connection,
done, right?
It's that connection that's so powerful.
Right. So I would get promoted every couple of years because they could see that I was getting bored and they didn't want me to leave because I had this tendency to jump around. And one day I'm sitting in my office and I'm trying to balance a budget. So I was a senior director I was the senior director for the province, basically. I was a conduit between head office and all of the different divisions in the province. And head office says, we want another million. This was $1 billion budget. We want another $1 million. And all the divisions are like, we don't have another $1 million. It's so I'm sitting there moving numbers around. I'm like, this is stupid. And the radio is on behind me, and it's a publicly traded company, but the majority owner he's a lovely gentleman. Actually he's passed away now, but I met him, and it said how much he was worth. I was like, screw him. He doesn't need another $1 million. It's like, really? I'm looking for $1 million. It's like looking for $20 in a haystack.
Sure.
Come on. You lose all perspective of zeros when it gets that big. And I was like, this is the wrong place for me. This is just why I don't care about this.
Mm-hmm.
When you're somewhere that you're one of the things I talk about in my program is your occupation. You have to care about what you're doing.
It has to, that word align, you have to have alignment.
You have to care about what you're doing. You have to feel valued. You have to feel like what you're doing is valuable for, and accounting is valuable. Don't get me wrong, but not for me. Like it doesn't work with my vibe. So, and it wasn't long after that, like this started a percolation in my head. It wasn't long after that I had started taking yoga after work, because I was working 12, 14-hour days sitting at a desk, right? This is not good for a human body, no matter how old you are. I think I was in my 30s. I was in my 30s. And I hear him going, how old was I? And I'm rushing to get to yoga, driving. And I'm driving through this intersection. So Toronto, it has a fair amount of traffic. And there's this intersection that I was driving through that was like 4 lanes. And I'm driving through and there's a lady crossing the road and I'm like honking and yelling. And I'm like, are you trying to get yourself killed? And I looked up, I'm like, holy crap, my light's red. So I was driving through a red light.
Wow.
No clue. Like I'm rushing to go become mindful and relax. There is no, oh, look, my hand just went up.
The robots are watching.
I know, stop it, AI, Jesus. So I got to yoga. And I wasn't killed, surprisingly, driving through this red light. And I didn't kill anyone, surprisingly. I got to yoga and I told my yoga teacher, who had become a friend of mine, she goes, wow, that's interesting, isn't it? And that's all she said.
Left it up to you to discern what that meant.
I was like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
So not long after that, I quit my job. I just said, I'm done. It's over. And I went to India for 3 months.
Wow.
And I know this isn't available. Like not everybody's going to take this route, because that's pretty extreme, right? And to be completely transparent, I not only quit my job, I sold my house and I got divorced all at the same time.
Wow.
Because everything, like some people are like, you're throwing the baby out with the bathwater. I'm like, everything, I had reached this realization of who I really was and what I was really supposed to be doing, and none of those pieces fit.
It didn't align.
And I talked to my husband at the time. I'm like, this is the way I'm going. And I invited him, but yeah, that wasn't for him. So I'm like, okay, that's okay. And okay, see you later.
Yeah.
Right?
Definitely on the extreme side. Definitely. Yes. That takes a lot of courage in order to do that.
Or insanity.
No, I wasn't going to say that. But, earlier we were talking about, getting out of your comfort zone and, doing uncomfortable things helps us grow, right? And when we're talking about the life balance and things like that, a lot of times on this program, we talk about you have to force yourself to do those uncomfortable things, because if you're always in the middle line, not only do the highs not feel high, you don't feel the lows, and then there's no contrast between the high and the low.
Right.
And so you have to push yourself out of that to feel something. And boy, you pushed yourself way out of that.
And I tell you, if you want to feel contrast, you go to India.
I imagine.
3 months. Oh my goodness.
Wait, had that been a dream for you to always try India, or that was just something you were like, did you spin the globe and put your finger on it and say, I'm going here?
No, because I had started to study yoga more.
That makes sense.
And I thought it was really fascinating and interesting, like the philosophies. And I had started studying meditation. And I was like, okay, I want to go see where this comes from. And one day so the rupee is the currency they use in India. And one day I took money out of the bank and I looked at the slip. I'm like, I am a billionaire because the rupee is so depressed. So I'm like, and it's an inexpensive place to travel. So if you want to go and hang out, and I mean, you've got to have a bit of street smarts about you. You need to have your spidey sense on of who's going to rip you off. And even though I have that in Egypt, I totally got one of those, I'll show you how to get where you're going. And then they take you to a store. I'm like, oh man, I totally fell for that.
Yeah.
But he was so funny. I just bought something anyway. Like, I thought it was hilarious. But yeah, like it's a challenging place to be, but it's also really uplifting and heart crushing all at the same time.
Mm. So
Yeah.
highs and lows.
Oh yeah.
For
It's
sure.
a roller coaster there. I think when I was about a week and a half in, and I had a complete meltdown. And then it was okay.
I was going to say, I think typically people usually have the meltdown. Either they're forced to have it, or once their bodies and their mind feel like they can. Now it's a safe time to go ahead and do it. That's usually what ends up happening.
Yeah. Well, that's why everybody gets sick on vacation.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
I was just going to say that because they finally let down and the body's like, okay, you're done.
We're done. We're taking care of business now. Lay down.
Yeah. Yeah. So you come back from India, you have this wonderful experience, sounds like. You come back from India, and so you've sold your house. Now you're newly divorced. That's got to be messy right there. What did you come back to?
I came back to knowing much more clearly what I was going to do.
Having purpose.
Yeah. So I became a personal trainer. I went back to school for 2 years to become a massage therapist because here it's a regulated health profession. I opened my own yoga studio. I found my new husband, who actually was traveling with me in India as a friend till it was like, this is super intense and we're doing really well together. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because people are always like, you can't go with the first person after your divorce. It's rebound, man. I'm like, what if it's the universe giving me the perfect person, right? So obviously 20 years later, it actually has been working really, really well.
That's amazing.
So I dove right back into life. I'm like, I'm back. I'm a superpower. Watch me go. And I had a couple meltdowns in school too. It was pretty intense. I turned 40 in massage school, and it had been a long time since I was in school. So yeah, but it was so interesting. I was so engaged. I can remember at one point, I was studying, and my husband now said to me, we were in this little apartment. He goes, shouldn't you go to bed? I'm like, can I just study for another hour? I was like, who says that?
But people say that who are serious about it, right? That's something that they want to accomplish, so they do it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I loved all of it. And then in 2021, I had a stroke. And of course, it was still kind of COVID-y time. So I couldn't see properly. I had double vision. No one was allowed to visit me because I was stuck in ER for 3 days because there was no beds in the hospital. So I'm like, I couldn't, scroll Instagram and laugh.
You just had to lay there with your thoughts.
I just had to lay there.
I want to just interrupt you for 1 second and just point out your messy moment is the accounting part, not the stroke, where I'm sitting here saying my messy moment was my heart attack. And you're like,
right, I know.
Just a stroke. Those things happen.
Just a stroke.
But your epiphany was, accounting's boring. I'm not just going to do this
right? I know. So it's
maybe I'm a drama queen and I should.
No. Everybody's entitled to their choice of their.
I just love that. I just love that though, because you're like, no, it's really accounting. I hated it. Stroke, it was there.
Well, this is the interesting thing about when I had the stroke, because I'm laying in the hospital. I'm like, are they sure? It's like, do they know what they're talking about? Because I was like, I had done the work for the past, however many years it was, that I'm like, I am healthy. I take care of myself. Yeah. I'm like, you
became a fitness instructor. You're doing yoga, like all the right things. Yeah.
And when the neurologist is like, he comes in and goes, you've had 2 strokes. I'm like, really? Really? Can I see the scans, please?
Prove it.
Right. So, but it was funny because at one point I went, I should just stop arguing with the doctors, because I did the total human thing. I'm like, no, I should go home right now. Everybody just leave me alone. Let me go home. It's like that reaction.
That instinct.
Right. Yeah. And I finally went, okay, this is stupid, Heather. Like, just let them take care of you and just lay here and figure out what the hell, why are you here? So, so I was lying there going, okay, universe, you have my attention. What was it that you wanted to tell me that I've been ignoring?
What am I supposed to learn again?
Right? I know. It's like, come on, you guys, seriously. So, in the end, I ended up having 3 strokes because 4 days later I had another one. But
Wow.
it was so interesting because as I was lying there, like what was becoming obvious because I was doing all this work with physical wellness and helping people get their bodies healthy. And although while I was a massage therapist, I often felt like I was a bartender because people spend more time with you than sometimes their family, right? If they book an hour massage, 90-minute massage. I mean, not saying people don't spend that time, but that you're in front of the TV,
Sure.
you know, or you're scrolling. So this is, they have nothing to do but lay there.
Mm-hmm.
Some people never spoke a word, which I was like, they just
Cool.
their quiet space.
Yeah.
Cool. Some people talked the whole time.
Mm.
And
Are you an empath? Did you absorb all of that?
I learned how to have my golden
Protect
you know,
it. Yeah.
you know, because when I first started working, another funny story, when I first started working, it was New Year's and so many people were coming in that something horrible had happened. And like client after client, and I went, the last lady that I had treated, her son had killed himself over the
Oh,
holidays.
dear.
And I'm in the staff room and I'm just like washing my hands. And I'm like, I'm going to lose it. I'm trying not to cry. And my friend, his name is Alberto. He's brilliant and insane. He's like a homeopath, naturopath, like anything you can think of, this man has studied. And he comes in, he goes, oh my God, your aura. And he starts splashing water on me. I was like, thank you. I just started laughing, and that was what I needed. But yeah, it's like, I'm in the hospital. I'm like, what's the deal? What's the deal here? And I was thankfully, I was on a cot, like not super comfortable, but thankfully they gave me a cubicle and I could shut the curtains. And it's Halloween. So and it's a downtown Toronto hospital. So there was a lot of craziness happening outside of my cubicle. And I'm listening to conversations and I'm listening to people who are scared and doing the same thing. I'm fine. Just take me home. I heard this elderly gentleman. I'm fine. I just tripped. I was just hurrying. And his daughter's like, no, we're going to get you checked out. And there's moms with babies and there's police with hookers and like,
all the things that happen at a hospital. Okay.
all the things. And I'm lying there listening to life going on outside. I'm like, wow, there's more. People need more than physical help. So I commented that, you know, I felt like a bartender because people were constantly talking to me and asking me for my opinion or thoughts about, what do you think about this? Like I even had people asking me about sex with their partner. I'm like, try this position. What am I going to say? Like,
that's above my pay grade.
I'm like, I'm not officially allowed to answer this question, but I can tell you what I think. So, you know, it's just like, so when I had my stroke, I'm lying there, I'm like, okay. And I had been doing business coaching on the side for health and wellness people because, you know, I have this business background and health and wellness people know how to help people, but they don't know how to run a business.
It's business sense and wellness sense, two very different things.
Right? Left brain, right brain. And when I was running my yoga studio, like yoga teachers, I'd say, you got to send an invoice. Oh, I thought the money, you would just give it to me. Like, no, you got to send an invoice. Send a damn invoice. So I started coaching these people on business. And as I was lying there, I'm like, oh my goodness, there's more to people. And even business coaching, there's more to people. In massage, there's more to people. Personal training, because you spend an hour talking to someone, there's more. So it was like, Heather, we need to bust open your brain a little bit and make you see the bigger picture because you're helping in 2 tiny little lanes and you need to be on a highway. I'm like, okay, universe, what does that mean? So while I was laying there was where my program came from, Thriving Life Method.
Love it.
Look at
Yeah,
that.
look at.
And
See, those robots, they're listening.
and will this work? There it goes.
Yeah, there it is.
And that's where my podcast came from, because my podcast started right after my stroke, the Back to Me podcast.
Same with mine, yeah.
Right after your heart attack. Like, you had an epic story too.
Well,
right?
I mean, I always say we all have epic, messy stories, right? That's the beauty of it. But I can't get over the accounting was the worst.
Well, think about what was happening. Like, I was exploding my entire life.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Right? And it caught up to you is what I'm thinking. All of that stuff caught up because, you did, you quit your job, got a divorce, sold your house. I think that's in the top 5 of what they tell you not to make a big decision around when that happens, right? I think losing someone is number 1, but like number 2 is selling or buying a house. Number 3 is getting divorced. I think number 4 is married. Like, you're in the top 5 of everything they say.
Tick, tick, tick.
Don't make a big decision when these things has happened to you. And here you are, gonna make all the life decisions right now.
And what was interesting, so that it's interesting that was my messy, because I blew up my entire life.
Yeah.
Right? Where having a stroke, I had taken all of the pieces of my life. Like, this is where my program came from. I realized I'd taken all the pieces, so they all supported me now. Mm-hmm. So that could have blown up my life. If I was still an accountant, that would have totally blown my life out.
Sure.
But because I had everything in place, I'm like, I'm good. I got this.
Yeah.
Like, it is messy, but it's not, I don't have to call anybody in to help me clean this one up.
But it's still a physical, whatever you want to call, manifestation or something that where your body had to purge whatever was still there with everything that you went through. And even, you had mentioned even in being in India, while it was, wonderful, it was stressful. So you still have all of these, chemical buildup and all these things that are in you where it has to do something with that, right?
Yeah, it has to go somewhere. And what was so interesting when the neurologist was showing me the brain scan of where my stroke was, I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I'm like, because I had to take neurology in massage school. And I'm asking him about the area of the brain and what it controls. And he said, yeah, I don't know why you had double vision. That's not the area of the brain that was impacted. And I'm like, well, and he probably thought I was a total nut bar. I'm like, I think my body just needed to let me know something was wrong, and that it knew I would pay attention.
That got your attention, yeah. Well, and maybe also to quiet you, right? So you couldn't scroll, so you couldn't watch TV. So you actually had to sit with your thoughts and just...
need to make her sit still.
Yeah, I don't like those lessons.
Right. So now, and like luckily, having many years of meditation under my belt, I just went into my meditation and I'm like, what do you guys want? Even so, a year and a half ago, I was in Egypt and Jordan, and I felt only one rock in the whole desert, and I tripped over and I broke my wrist. And people are like, oh, that's terrible. I'm like, it was fascinating. I got to go to 3 different hospitals in Jordan and see all the people, and I got to learn a new lesson. And my lesson that it's like the universe kicks me is pretty hard, but it knows that I can kind of recover from it. So my lesson was accepting and asking for help.
Thanks for listening to Everything's Messy podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd love it if you'd hop on over to wherever you listen to your favorite podcast and hit that like, subscribe, or leave a review. And hey, feel free to drop a messy comment too. You can always find me on social media, Instagram at Everything's Messy Wellness, Facebook at Everything's Messy, and X, formerly Twitter, at Everything's Mess. If your email's your thing, reach out at sarah@everythingsmessy.com. Be sure to check out the brand new website at www.everythingsmessywellness.com. If you're ready to take messy action in your life and need a little help, I'd love to connect for a breakthrough session. And if you're living with type 1 diabetes like I am, or caring for someone who is, let's chat. We'll turn messy moments into momentum and keep moving forward. Thanks again for listening to Everything's Messy podcast, and as always, keep it messy.
them.